What's good, everyone? This is Y and Z, a conversation between the generations. I represent the Y, aka a millennial, Jay Clark, and that's my young Z whippersnapper over there, Xavier Lewis. How you living this week, brother?
Hey man, I'm doing all right. Happy belated Valentine's Day, happy Fat Tuesday, Ash Wednesday, all of that going on around the world during this time period. And of course, I think you already know where we about to start off here. This
Oh, yeah.
past.
We gonna get into it. Let me check real quick. You brought up Valentine's Day. I know you and your girl are in separate places right now. You get to do anything
Yeah,
special,
man. Yeah, I saw her last weekend. So I saw her last Thursday. So before I had to do that little stint at work for the past 6 days. 5 days, I made sure to see her and make sure to, wine, dine, chicks, down.
Well done. Well done, sir. Well done. Well done. Yeah, mine not too eventful. Kiddo had basketball practice, so parenthood took over that night. So,
Yeah.
it happens sometimes. That's life. But we still did our thing. But anyways, like, share, subscribe. Welcome to the conversation. And yeah, we're gonna get into some good stuff right now. Because yeah, you had the biggest sporting event of the year this past weekend, the Super Bowl. We're not really gonna talk about the game too much. We do sports in here, whatnot, but the game was what it was. Yay, happy Chiefs.
I'm gonna
Happy
just say this. I'm gonna just say this about the game. I'm gonna let it go. I think people are upset that you can start seeing WWE across every sport now. I'm gonna leave it at that.
We'll get into that later then. That's it. Put up I'll bookmark that. But let's start off with the commercials, man. What'd you think about? Because everybody tuning in. That's one of the major things. Everybody tuning in is for the commercials. What'd you think?
Let me say this personally. This is just me. And don't get me wrong, I have a huge affinity for Super Bowl commercials. We have experienced, even in my time,
Mm-hmm.
we've experienced some of the best Super Bowl commercials there ever has been.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this year, I don't know if they just cannot get out good material within when they started when the strike ended until now. I don't know if that played a part into it or something like that. But the commercials were poop, and not just any poop. They were like hot poop,
Yeah.
flaming. It was not good. After I noticed that the first few were just not good, I just didn't pay attention to them. The last commercial I paid attention to was the Beyonce one.
We'll we'll get to Beyonce in a
So
second.
get to that.
But overall, yeah, I made the statement. I was like, I think we can officially say the era of Super Bowl commercials being something. It's a wrap because it's been going the trend has been going down the last couple years. And this year, like you said, just overall was like, oh my, like I was just like when we got right before halftime, I was like, oh, because generally halftime is the marker. You might see some repeats in the second half, but generally that first half is where you're gonna see him. I was like, oh, this is yeah. Like
It's
there
not.
was a couple nice ones. You had the whole NFL International, the Africa commercial. That was in the second half.
Mhm.
That was a sweet one. People are talking about the Jago Ben Affleck one. The Rob Gronkowski one was only okay because they did the whole tribute to Carl Weathers, who recently passed. That was kind of like but overall, yeah, it was bad. And like I said, like the Super Bowl commercials used to be something, and I've heard some people make the statements. They're like, pretty much, it's another thing that the internet is ruining because it used to be like that was the only time you were going to see them. Like you would see them in the first half, a couple good ones might repeat in the second, and then generally that was like they weren't being thrown for the most part into regular rotation. And
Nah.
you didn't have YouTube or whatnot back in the day, but now it's like, okay, if you missed it, oh, and if it was good, yeah, I can go watch it on YouTube, or hell, they've been released on YouTube before the game even starts.
Before
So
the get right, right. I think, honestly, what we're gonna experience in the next 10 to 15 years, most definitely is gonna be a revival of what advertisement looks like. I think advertisement as a whole is gonna have to repurpose itself because I don't think television commercials, not saying that they aren't effective, but maybe I need to just look at the research now. But I want to know like where the bulk of the money is coming from because
I mean,
is
they're very
is
much
it
so still
really
effective.
still
Like
what's
that
that?
they're very much so still effective. That's why the Super Bowl can charge now
Right.
6 million for 30 seconds. I think this year really reflected you in the industry, you had a lot of layoffs. A lot of these
Right.
like a lot of these people who would probably, like it's been a lot of layoffs, a lot of people being fired. And so I think one, the political climate was definitely reflected in some of these commercials, and two, some staffing was
Personnel. Right.
personnel was reflected
It's
because yeah.
and I think that's what's gonna change, right? Because I think the more my generation starts to be not just the consumers, but the producers, like when we start becoming the main producers of the media is gonna take a different it's gonna look a little different.
We'll see how you interact with Gen, because at that point it'll probably be Gen Beta.
Yeah,
And
right.
Alpha right now. It'll be interesting to see what, because essentially you're not going, you think you're going to get in there and market for yourselves. That's not the case. You got to
Not at
market
all.
who it is. So it'll be interesting to see. But
And
one of the commercials,
I think that's why my generation gets a lot of heat because it's like trying to create content for us is like a it's an
y'all are the divide. The purpose of the show. Y'all's experience is different than anyone prior to. Maybe
yeah.
that'll make y'all better for Gen Beta and Gen Alpha when we get there. But like I said, it'll
Right,
be
right.
interesting to see. But one of the commercials you did bring up was Miss Beyonce, who caused quite the stir and had the Bayhive in a frenzy after, which I knew was, I was waiting because I heard that line and I was like, oh, they about to lose their shit. And they were in a frenzy.
You know,
Those songs got
I've
up.
deemed I've deemed all of Usher fans as the Usher board. And the Usher board most definitely had their panties in a bunch. I heard a lot of people saying things like, "Oh, she was still in Usher's shine," even though this commercial aired after the Super Bowl
It,
performance.
but it was like right after. I can see why some people think that because
You know,
it was like the second or third commercial after, like I don't even know the game had started back up yet, maybe. Like it
it
was
did. Yes,
pretty
it just
new.
started back up.
Okay,
It was like
it was pretty shortly.
once
It was like in that
once the
first
third
block.
quarter came back in, it was like one of the first
That
commercials of
first block, yeah, okay.
and it's just real interesting to see what could like how that happened in the timing of it. The
I mean,
timing
all planned. Definitely sure there was like
had to
it was the
be.
deal of after. Like I said, I can see why they say it's stealing its shine, but at the same time, it's not. But what do you how you feeling about Country Bay?
I am actually 10 toes down for it. I'm not a huge Beyonce fan. Please, Beehive, do not tear me up in the comments. I'm sorry. I'm not the biggest Beyonce fan, but I am a huge fan of 16 Carriages. Now, Texas Hold'em, I listened to it. It's kind of a nice little vibe, don't get me wrong, but it's still just a pretty basic song to me. But
Hmm.
16 Carriages is a true country ballad that country music is built its back upon. It tells a story, an emotional story. It really makes you feel like, oh, this almost feels like this is Beyonce's last song ever being written. This is the last song she's gonna ever record. Like you really get those kind of emotions from that song. And I applaud her for the way she did it through a Verizon commercial.
Smart, very very
Like
creative
I think
rollout.
that was
Yeah.
very smart on her behalf to because wasn't it before like Beyonce was on tour doing a tour for one album and released a whole new album during the middle of a tour.
Hey, you got to give credit where credit's due. She is on point. Part of it is due to who she is. So she's got
Yeah.
this credit built up, but she's able to use and wield that credit nicely in terms of doing what she got to do. I'm fully on board with this country direction. Like I said, I like you. I'm not going to be like I'm a Beyonce fan. There are a handful of songs that I have in my rotations that I do enjoy listening to. I love good music. So I'm
Right.
here for seeing what she's going to do with this country album. 16 Candles, yeah, beautiful song. Am I adding it to rotation? No. Texas Hold'em, okay, cool vibe. Am I adding it to rotation? No. But I'm holding out hopes that she might give me a song on this new album. I'm like, okay, yep, I want to add this into rotation because
Right, right. It's let's
that's
not
what I'm
even
hoping for.
get into the discussion of how that community is going to deny or accept her.
Did you see the radio station this week?
Ooh,
the radio station that
refused
was like,
to
when
play
you're
it.
requesting it, we don't play Beyonce. We're a country station. Less than an hour later, they had that song in rotation. And
Uh,
what was hilarious is they tweeted about it. They ain't used their X account now. But I'm gonna call it Twitter. Mama named it Twitter. They ain't used their Twitter
right.
in almost 4 years. They used it that day to be like, hey, we got this Beyonce song coming up next. So this
That's
fight is going
crazy.
to be interesting because yeah, they not gonna want to let her in. And
No,
even though they took it from us in the first place, it's going to be interesting to see because essentially now you have two titans clashing. You have a titan of an artist, somebody on Beyonce's level, and a titan of a genre industry that is its own separate thing. Like country has done its thing in making it, we got our own ecosystem here, and they're clashing. And it's going to see, okay, who gonna move more? Like who gonna
right,
move
right.
more?
Who's gonna give up more? And it's so interesting, because like we've been saying, Beyonce is just such a. I'm not gonna say she's like nobody is Michael. We all know that nobody is Michael, but she is truly a legend
She's
in
the
her
closest
own
thing we're
right.
gonna see ever, and she's still not there, but she's the closest. Like, yeah, she is right behind
And
that
so
him. Yeah,
it's like it's almost like you want to say something about it being unfair. You know how close it was after Usher's performance, but it's like who's gonna stop her? Who is gonna tell
hey,
Beyonce
I'm here
that
for
she
it.
can't air that commercial that
I'm,
soon?
I'm here for it, and excited to see where this thing goes. But let's get into the hard things now, because as much as
Woo.
Beyonce did her thing and has made waves and made ripple, there's still more to come. But your boy, or he's not your boy, he's my boy Usher, and this halftime show from your
Because Usher and
Generation
his
Z
big
perspective. From your
4 5,
Generation Z perspective, how'd you feel about it?
Usher Raymond,
The fourth?
without a shadow of a doubt, is one of the leading. Like, I don't know if I mean, there are others, don't get me wrong, but Usher just does it so well. He is such an image of sexual desires for so many generations. And everything you expected Usher to do, Usher did. And it's like we all knew what to expect, and that's why we enjoyed it. Because Usher didn't I'm not gonna necessarily say that Usher didn't like build his career off of spontaneity or anything like that, but he most definitely built his career off of his amazing vocals, which were shown. That mic was hot and it was on.
Mm-hmm.
The dancing was on point, the outfit changes. It just screamed Usher Raymond. So from my perspective of my generation, I think we enjoyed it. I think we loved it right along with you guys. These are songs we didn't have no business listening to while we was young, but we were, and we was jamming to them.
He Usher did what needed to be done with this show because there wasn't like you weren't quite sure what he was going to do because Usher's got
He
enough
had
of
such a
a
big
catalog.
catalog,
He's got enough of a catalog, and there's an era that was like, eh. But you knew there was going to be something from that era because of it being the Super Bowl and what it was. You weren't quite sure what he was going to do. And he came and delivered in the pocket he needed to be in. He sat
yeah,
in that '01 to '05 pocket with a little bit of, OMG, he had to play it, a little bit of Daddy's Home, or no, what wasn't Daddy's Home, but Love in This Club, I think, right? And then,
right, right,
so some things posted, but he, and a little prior, he you had an intro of My Way,
right,
a
right.
tinge of Nice and Slow, but he set the heart of that performance was pure R&B '01 to '05 in this pocket, and it was glorious to see R&B main stage like that was as black and as R&B as you could get. And it was just like, yeah, sitting there as now as an
Here's
old
the
man was like,
was,
these are the days right here. Like these were the days that folks were talking about. And they say like R&B was alive and things were all like this was that pocket. And it was great to see it on this national platform. And yeah, it was feel good. It was feel good.
And I don't think we understand in the black community because some of us are only around other black people. But and so I guess we're kind of desensitized, but the Super Bowl is a national event.
Mhm.
People of all ethnicities, all races are watching this event.
Around the world, around the world.
Oh, exactly. And for R&B, unadulterated R&B being the highlight of the I mean, and don't get me wrong, it was almost like the same essence of when you had Snoop do basically his his ode to West Coast life.
To an extent, yeah, but
It-
this
right,
was just one guy versus that
right, exactly.
collaboration.
But
This
this
was just
time it
one
was
guy.
just basically Usher running the damn thing.
Like,
Usher basically commanded the whole show. He didn't need too many other people. Don't get me wrong. He brought out CeeLo Green, Ludacris.
he ain't bring out CeeLo. Stop that.
Some, let me
Jermaine
tell you
Dupri and
something.
them damn socks.
Jermaine Dupri got on Twitter. I think it might have been Twitter,
I saw the picture, thinking it made it better. It was like, no, no, sir.
talking about it's Louis Vuitton. We don't care what it is.
Those
Just
were the
because it's
socks my
designer
sister was
don't
wearing to
mean it
church on
looks
Easter
good.
Sunday. Those were the socks my sister was wearing to church on Easter Sunday. That's what those were.
And he looked so out of place. The outfit just was it was a no. It was just a no. And let's not even start about her. She looked amazing. And I want to put this little disclaimer out there because I don't think people know when Prince did his Super Bowl, his instruments were live and plugged in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now, I don't think people understand that those instruments are
Oh no,
live and plugged in.
we've known it since at least the last 10 years because you had the incident with Bruno Mars, his
Right,
first
right.
run, and you had the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and Flea is up there strumming out on a guitar with no string attached. Like people are kind of aware that it's that the instrumentation is pre-recorded, but still she got up there and put on a
Yeah, she
show.
did a great showing. And oh, Leisha. You know, the jokes concerning Alicia Keys have, and we all know it stemmed from her taking that woman's man.
Hmm.
And boy, the internet has not let up since then. I
It's
saw one
it's been great to
where,
see. They fixed the performance. Have you watched it back? Yeah.
look, I said, hold up. I thought a crack was right there. I said, ain't no way in the world that they went in. The NFL was like, nah, you didn't hear that. Nah,
You'll never hear it
what
again.
are you
You'll
talking
never
about?
hear it again.
And
It's funny
so,
though. People were questioning why she did that song, and a lot of people forget that she did a remix with Usher. Like
yeah.
there's a remix, and I still actually have the MP3 of that version. There's a
What?
remix of If I Ain't Got You with Usher doing the second verse. So a lot of people were like, why is she doing her own song? I was like, it was actually a great transition because it's a smooth duet. Like that's not the only duet that they had. They had My Boo as well, which they
Right.
did too. But that song made sense because there is a remix of the two of them doing that song together.
But the woman looked amazing. Um, she when she once she found her footing in her singing, she got there, did what needed to be done. You know, it was just a really, really great performance. And I will say this also, kudos to Usher for bridging that newer generation, having her there. That was really dope. And branching people from his generation too. It was a great little small little connector. It wasn't like a huge one,
Right.
but it was still really good to kind of, see someone putting in an effort to make that bridge more palatable.
It was just enough because there are rumors that he invited Justin Bieber as well, but Justin Bieber turned it down. I low key hope he didn't invite Justin Bieber because I like to think that what they curated was perfect. Like they made
Yeah, I
something.
hope that what he
I,
did was what he intended it to be and not
right,
if he
because
missed it.
Justin Bieber might have been a little bit like, I mean, And I'll say this: I also give him credit because he dropped an album the other week, and
Right, right.
before the halftime show, I was like, actually, don't come on here singing this new shit. I don't want to. I don't. And
He
he did,
knew how to,
and he didn't. Like he,
right.
he didn't touch a single news. Like it, almost like this album never existed. And I was thankful for that because that album is, eh, eh, eh.
And I think 9 out of 10, he'll probably take that same the way he did his Super Bowl show. I know he's gonna add, take away, and of course, add a lot more. but his tour is going to be crazy.
I mean, well, that Super Bowl show was literally just a piece, I imagine, of what the Vegas residency had been and what he's going to do on the road. Like, it was really like you just did a Vegas residency. I was like, oh, this makes sense because literally you got a bunch of stuff that I'm sure, like the strippers. Shout out to Usher
Right,
bringing strippers
right.
to the Super Bowl halftime show. They was on that pole shaking and clapping. Woo! Yeah, shout out to my wife was like, I'm sure the FCC gonna get some complaints about this. Um, but oh yeah, like so now I gotta ask. Now that we've seen it, because we did a little talk before, the other week about some of our favorite halftime shows. Now that the Usher show is complete and you can properly assess it with everything else, what is your top five now? And does Usher fit into that?
So number one for me, uh, I'll put it like this. Usher does go. Usher is number five now.
Ooh, that okay, okay,
Usher is my number five. It was just that good of a vocally appreciative performance.
okay.
The whole performance was really, really good. I'm not gonna hold you. Now I will say this. If they ever let T-Pain do a halftime show,
But don't go there yet. Give me the rest of your top five though. Give me the rest of so
so
now so
five
so
would be
four.
Usher. Four, I'm gonna go, and I know this wasn't their halftime show, but the main artist is overlooked in our minds. We don't care.
Coldplay. I know that one. Go, yep,
Yeah.
yep.
Number four is
Okay,
Coldplay.
okay.
Um, okay, let me skip up to number one though, because I'm scared to put something at number one. I'm scared to do it, but I loved it. I know I'm gonna get some fight for this. Number one, and I'm trying to go off of ones that I've experienced.
Okay,
So
okay,
let me
okay,
preface with that. The
okay,
one
okay,
I've watched live, out of the ones I've watched live, number one would be Rihanna. I think that was just a very I'm in love with Rihanna. It's one of those things that I don't care. She could have got up there and sang the ABCs for 13 minutes.
okay,
And
okay,
it'll be my number one.
okay.
But number two, that makes sense would most definitely. I was about to play with you and say the weekend, and that let's not even
Sir, I would have reached through this screen and smacked you for that.
let's not
It's
even
like
bring up that
that's one of
halftime.
the worst ever. So don't
That's
you?
not even. It was just so bad. It was so bad. But I'll put. Uh, I want to say Solo Bruno because I really enjoy Solo Bruno.
Hmm.
So I'll put Solo Bruno in my number two.
Okay, so who's number three then? That's the only one you're missing.
I'll put West Coast at number three.
Okay, not a bad top five. The Rihanna is really the only real questionable one. Um, and so I went back and watched a bunch of them, which is just to reassess. Number one is Prince. Like number one is Prince. It's he out there. It's rain and you singing because for me, part of it is a great halftime show. It has to have some memorable moments because like prior to the last 8 years, this was not like we enjoyed the fact, oh, I watched it. I can go back later tonight and rewatch it again on YouTube. Before, no.
Right. It
This
was
like
just
so part of it is you need to have some memorable moments, and it don't get more memorable than you are the artist singing Purple Rain in the rain after having just yanked your headscarf off towards the end because you had your hair wrapped to protect it from the rain. Like that's iconic in all realms, shapes, and forms. So Prince is number one. Number two, it's Michael. The original, like this was the first
uh,
big major celebrity halftime show. And that man stood on that stage. People say it's a minute. No, no, no. It's really like a minute and a half, almost two, because he gets up there, stands there for a minute. And I was clocking it. I was like, okay, he stands for a minute, turns his head, just turns his head, and then doesn't move again for like another 45 seconds.
yeah.
Like, so it doesn't like when you talk about iconic moments, like this, like that's how all of this started. So that's number two. Number three, it's Usher. Like I'm not gonna lie, like because I think part of the beauty is I think it works better when you have these artists who aren't in the let's call it prime or height of their careers.
Right,
Like, 'cause
right.
you can make it like this is what it is. It's an exclamation point. It's a summation, and people talking about crazy people who were talking about Usher didn't have the hits. Usher couldn't pull it off. Get out of here. He showed you straight. That show was fire. It was in the pocket and several iconic moments. But the one that's really gonna stand out for me is that like that stage was literally jumping. Like literally that stage was
It was so
so
beautiful to see.
yeah. And once again, Usher, King of R&B right now, reflect like this reflecting on this great period. Yes, that's number three. Number four, I'm sticking that Coldplay in simply because of the moment that was Beyonce and Bruno Mars for 5 minutes. Like this 5 minute portion overtook
The whole show.
overtook the whole show. So number four is Coldplay because of Beyonce and Bruno, and then number five, I could go a lot of ways with it, but I'm going
Right,
to throw in the West Coast tribute, simply because what it represented. It takes some hits because it's a bunch of different. I think
right, right.
it takes a hits because it's a bunch of artists, and generally those don't work too well. Like the Motown. I rewatched the Motown one from like '98 or '97. Oh,
Just much,
like
too much.
it was like, oh God, this so compilations like that don't necessarily work always the best. Let's remember Nipplegate back in the day as well. But yes, that's number five. Yes, but yeah, Usher jumps in there strong. Like this definitely one of the more memorable ones. Before we move on, who do you think can carry it on? Like who do you think like give me two or three you'd want to see in the next couple of years that you think is going to could carry that stage?
So since 2025 Super Bowl is in New Orleans, I think without a shadow of a doubt, Lil Wayne, Lil Tucci needs to be the halftime performer. I think it would be remiss of the Super Bowl not to take advantage of being in New Orleans and highlighting the New Orleans culture for the halftime Super Bowl. Um, Nobody, and I say this in the nicest way possible, nobody from my generation is ready to do a halftime Super Bowl performance. They don't have a catalog. They might have a hit, maybe or two, but it'll be well sometime for the artists that we have in my generation now are able to perform a halftime Super Bowl show.
You need a strong five. Like because I was clocking, as I said, I rewatched a couple of these, like because people were arguing, does so and so have the catalog on that? All you really need is a strong 4 to 5 songs at a minimum. The show's 11 to 13 minutes. So if you got you 4 to 5 songs, 2 minutes a piece,
Yeah.
you good. Like, you got others who squeeze in more, they have deeper catalogs yet, but at a minimum, you just need a good 4 to 5. Because
And
even
a
watching
good
Bruno's,
production of the show.
yeah,
You
even
don't you
watching
do need
Bruno's
to feel
first
it
one,
though.
Bruno's
Right,
first
right.
one, he only did himself 4 songs. Then you had Red Hot Chili. Like it wasn't this because this was early Bruno, his first
Right,
one.
right.
So all you need is a good strong 4 to 5. Definitely, I'd like to see Little Wayne. Will it happen? I don't know. If it does get announced, that's going to be an interesting set list to see put together just because
It's live television. National live television. So it's
national
gonna be a
television, like
lot
what?
of sensory.
But Wayne has a catalog that he can pull that off. I think.
Right, right. This we ain't asking Lil Boosie
Right.
that.
Yeah.
We
Wayne's
ain't
got
asking
enough.
Boosie.
I'm pretty sure you might not get all the Wayne hits you want, but I'm pretty sure
Right.
Wayne could give you a good 5 to 6 of some solid hits,
Hey,
solid verses. You could change it up, no problem. T-Pain, I think yes, T-Pain could do it. And then
Drake most definitely could do it. I
Drake,
mean,
Drake could. Drake could. Do I want to see
he,
that?
he
Not
I
necessarily.
mean, that's the thing. Do we want to? Maybe not. But Taylor Swift has she done a Super Bowl yet?
No, but she's going to hit that stage at some point soon.
I pray to
I
God it's not. If they,
it,
I'm
it,
telling
you can't do it next year. No, that's poor programming. But it wouldn't surprise me because you got to think at this point you've had two really urban back to back or
you,
three, West Coast, Rihanna, and now Usher. Rihanna is pop, but still, so I wouldn't be surprised. But it's Jay-Z putting it together. We'll see what happens. But Taylor's going to hit that stage. Lastly, I think, and this one's probably controversial, is the man Chris Brown.
Oh no. Let me say
No,
this.
Chris could do it.
Chris could eat that stage up at a Super Bowl halftime performance. But like you said, it would be controversial because it's like it's like apologetics trying to separate the artist from the painting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah,
basically the whole
yeah,
conversation.
yeah. But we'll get to that another day. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's your Super Bowl coverage. This is Y and Z conversation between the generations, our perspectives here. Um, we're gonna get out of here shortly, but we like to hit y'all with some recommendations. And because we are in
Man.
February, Black History Month, we're gonna hit you with some of our favorite, I guess we call it Black historical content,
Yeah.
content that focuses on a figure or a moment of time. Some of our favorites. So let's go deep. Let's go deep three here. But what's your first? We'll go back and forth on this one. What's one of your ones, sir?
You know, man, I will say this, and I'll preface it with this. I even outside of the context of Black history, I think this is one of the most greatly executed biopics of all time.
Hmm.
And that is Ray.
Solid, solid, solid.
Ray, played by Jamie Foxx, was just, to me, it was a culmination of so much good. It was just an era. You watch that movie and you really feel like Jamie Foxx is Ray Charles.
You didn't say Jamie Foxx. You saw Ray Charles.
You
Yeah.
saw Ray, right. And I think just this Black History Month, go and rewatch that movie. Go and just ingest that again
Good
with
music,
that
good
appreciation in
story.
mind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Just rewatch it. People that probably watched that movie in a while. It's probably been because you don't really read about it much anymore. But I think
Solid.
that's my like top thing going right now. So what's your number one?
A number one. I don't know if I have an order of these, but because you
Okay.
gave one of the strong, like a strong biopic, it wasn't one that I had on my list necessarily, but it's definitely, I agree with you, for my favorites. I'm gonna go similar energy, and that's X. Malcolm,
Yeah.
Malcolm and Spike. Once same thing. You don't see Denzel Washington
No.
watching Malcolm X, and so like regardless of how whether you feel they omit some things or what like because one of the hard things about a good biopic, which is what both of these do, is are you trying to cover an entire life? Are you trying to cover a moment? So
Right.
both of these
Right.
did good jobs of giving the scope of life and career. So yeah, definitely Denzel and X with Spike Lee. That's top tier right there.
Most definitely. So like, another heavy hitter that I like to really reflect on during my Black History Month is just really, really taking into account the things that Black inventors, Black engineers have done.
Okay.
Like I really, really spend a lot of my time just like reflecting on things we've done and I know we all learned about them in school, but think about George Washington Carver or something like that, right? Just think about all the impact he made. I know we play around about it. He was the peanut guy, yeah, but I think it's important because we didn't see it a whole lot growing up in school, so we didn't ingest it a lot unless your parents did it in your own personal household. But I think we need to be intentional about educating ourselves about what they didn't teach us.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think that's my number two, just really honing in on like Black inventors, Black
Okay.
engineers,
Okay.
seeing how the world today wasn't affected by them.
So a movie that could be represented like that be some like Hidden Figures. You're getting some of these other stories
Right.
now that aren't. I mess with that. Strong pick. Number two, I'm gonna go a little dark here. It's
Ooh,
not, it's a little dark. Um, it's the movie Rosewood. Rough watch. Rough watch. Good. It's a good movie. Like it's a strong cast. It's a good movie, but it is a rough watch. But it does a good job of portraying this one incident, which is just one of unfortunately many. Um,
right.
so it's not a movie I've watched in a long time because it's a rough watch, but excellent
One
cast.
of those.
Ving Rhames, Elise Neal, Don Cheadle, John Voight, Big Mama from Soul Food. Like it's Little Man from Go Island. Excellent cast, terrible story in terms of what it's showing, but it's part of history, and it's one of those things that like if you've never seen it, you need to watch it. You may not watch it again, but you need to watch.
Right.
So yeah,
And
that's one.
I'm gonna kind of follow up with that for my last one. And I know it's not at all a Black History movie.
Okay.
Um, but one thing I think Jordan Peele does well
Ooh.
is his ability for I write this movie with this intent, but he leaves so much open air for interpretation
Mm-hmm.
in his own scripts. And I think Us gets a lot of heat because people, saying, oh, this is nothing like Get Out. It gets a lot of heat. But if you watch that movie in the context of Black History Month, it just the movie it's just deeper
You pick up a
than
lot of
a
things on
lot of
rewatches with
people.
that one. A lot of things on rewatches with that one.
Yeah, you just have to. You could even take the. It doesn't even necessarily have to be Black history. That movie could be American history,
Mm-hmm.
and you can watch it from that perspective, and you'll still see the many similarities to what we struggled with or are struggling with within that movie.
Solid approach there, sir. I like that's a solid top.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
for my last, I'm going to give you a kind of a twofer.
okay.
One, because it's my fate, like it's one of my favorite movies of all time, which is Glory with Denzel and Morgan. And like it's got the tropes of white savior, all that. I don't give a damn. Solid movie of this era
Yeah,
and with this, the first all black, regiment during the Civil War. And similar to that, I want to bring this one up, the HBO version of the Tuskegee Airmen.
that's a really good
It's
one.
made for
Really
TV
good
movie.
one.
This one's got Malcolm Jamal, Cuba, Lawrence Fishburne, and even dude who just passed, damn it, who was in Glory. I can't the chief on Brooklyn 911. Um,
Oh yeah. Okay, I can't think of his name.
He's
I know
in
you're talking about.
he's in it as well. But yeah, this made for TV version of the Tuskegee Airmen, solid story and great even as a TV movie, like because they use old footage from old war movies as some of the fighting. Like that's how they did. Like, but it's a great story, great movie, and just it's one of those that just makes you proud. Like, yeah, like similar along the lines of Gore, like, yeah, we did this. Don't sleep on it.
Right,
Like
right,
we are
right.
here. We are as part of this as much as y'all are know about us. But yeah, so yeah, Glory and Tuskegee Airmen, definitely Tuskegee Airmen. If because I think that's one a lot of people don't know about. Check that
Yeah,
out if you
I've
haven't.
never heard of him, and I got to check it out.
But it should be on HBO Max, I think, or it's on streaming.
Yeah,
It's like a 90-minute watch, hour and a half. Like I said, it's this old school early 90s TV movie made for HBO, but it's very, very solid. Check it
solid.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah. Let me know about that one. But yeah, that's what this Y and Z. That's what we do here. Like, share, subscribe, conversation between the generations. If you've got a comment, you got a take, you got, let us know. Hit us down below. If you got an opinion you want to share, you got something you want us to talk about where we might have some differences or some similarities. We're exploring it all. Like I said, it's just a conversation between the generations. That young whippersnapper. Real Xavier Lewis. Follow him on socials. J Clark 787. You can holler at me too. YZ the Divide as well on TikTok. And yeah, until next time, stay black.
peace
Peace.
out.